Hey YouTube, we're back with another podcast, this time with Vellerium. Vellerium is the leader of HMBA, which is a colonial group. He's also Supreme Commander of Lavo's Karavik Empire, and he's also a relevant figure in the community. Vellerium, say hello.
You right? I'm Vellerium, a leader of His Majesty's British Army in the colonial genre. We're not going to be on that today, but I'm just here on his podcast representing my account, Lucid Karavich, in the World War II era.
Alright, let's dive right into this. So, what did you do before you joined the World War II genre?
Well, I was in many people know us years ago, in a small group called, it was big at the time, but now it's considered small. Kingdom of Great Britain, not the big one that got content deleted. It was a smaller one, led by someone named Josh, HM, George Augustus II. If anyone remembers, before that it was Captain Dom, and I was in that for quite a while. It's like 2015, 2016ish, and then and before that I was with Lewis, of course, but that's pretty much what I was doing.
Yeah, I pretty much was doing the same thing. I guess I was serving Gut Bomber, and then around
Oh yeah,
2016 I did my own group, and I think you did Finland about around then, the same time as me, something like that, but pretty much the same thing had occurred. So, well, what do you like most about the World War II community so far?
well, at the moment there's not really much to like about it, but
yeah, that's true.
But I think this pack that you're making probably help out with that. Yeah, reduce the toxicness about it.
Yeah.
Especially just people just hating each other for no reason, man. It's a Lego game. Like, chill the fuck out.
Yeah, that's what I've thought about as well. Is I spoke to Freddie about it, and he said he wouldn't sign, but he thinks it's a really mature move on my part, and I'm like, yeah, of course it is. And so, yeah, I thought it'd be a great idea because there's some people that think that this hate is a trend, and it's like, no, it's not. I mean, the whole, let's say there's a couple things they address. They say there's the whole loyalty cult thing, and that's all immersion. There's no unironic Louis Otto 2.0 loyalty cult going around trying to restart up the New Awakening. No, it's a bunch of immersion. It's a bunch of Lego loyalty. It's a bunch of in-game Lego loyalty is what it is. It's not a big thing. Now, of course, I'm not going to deny the fact that we will demote someone if they're being disrespectful to me or someone else, but that's typical worker behavior. It's been going on since 2010 where, that insubordination and disrespect and incompetence and all, it's just part of a work group, so that's understandable. But, the whole big cult of personality, cringe Lego cult, it doesn't exist. And TRI and Oceano's a bit edgy with that, but...
just a bit.
Yeah, just a bit, because, I mean... It did go a bit serious, but it wasn't like unironic people being loyal. It was like on one occasion I was in a video call with this guy named Richard Richter, and he wrote on his whiteboard loyalty to the Imperator ad Imperator, and on a video he like did an ad Imperator salute. And I remember me and my members just started cringing at it. We had this big cringe moment, but compared to then, if that happened again, I would probably tell the guy to shut that down before I lose my shit. But back then, back then I didn't really care much about it because it just...
Yeah. People don't see it from... because you won't know unless you've ran a group for a longer period than a year.
Yeah.
It's perspective of a group leader. It's much different, Yeah, everything. You're under a spotlight constantly. Everything you do. And there's so much drama that surrounds you. Like, even with things you haven't even done. Like, such as the small thing like when retards blame you for them being demoted for something that they've done. Or someone in your group demoting them and they blame you for it for some reason. Especially if you own, you own the Richters or in the Vellerium family. Same thing. If one of your Richters went to, let's say, for example, like one of Lewis's games and started fucking about, people in Lewis's games are going to take that as a direct insult from yourself, even though you had nothing to do with it. You did not make this guy do this. He just did it out of his own free will. Just because he's got your username in his name, it makes it all your fault. And this happens a lot with me. A lot. With my Vellerium dynasty.
Yeah, same here.
To add on to that,
yeah.
So people change their names to your dynasty name without permission, and that's them representing your name constantly because everywhere they go, they've got the Vellerium name, and that's just does. There's a certain vetting process before you make someone like a member of your family to make sure you don't let people retards like that into your family, but nothing you can do once someone's changed their name.
Right. Yeah, I had the same thing with a guy named Paris Richter. He actually owns I don't know what it was called. It's like some random typical generic German realm. It keeps making these groups, and they're literally just all free models. They're all just trash assets, and they're just cringe. And the guy might be from a foreign country because he doesn't speak English that well. He'll be in a raid, we'll tell him to do something, and he won't reply or anything. And it's like, I don't know what this
That's
guy's
his.
issue is, but he has the name
That's his.
Paris Richter, and he's always
Oh yeah.
constantly, yeah, he's constantly just making a joke out of the Richter dynasty, and that's why, it's just, I have the Richterian dynasty, which is very similar, except the Richter dynasty is like the old guard, and the Richterian dynasty is like the new guard. And so, with that being
I see.
said,
So like in the Napoleonic sense of like the Napoleon when he had the old guard.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah,
If
well,
you've done like, if was it 3 campaigns, you get in the old guard.
yeah, pretty much. So, um, things like that, it's just, I understand because there's also a guy that took out my name when on Discord and went around saying all this stuff, So I
There's
got,
lots of drama to do with like forgery and everything like that.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yep,
I found, so my mate Jamie, he owned some Rome group. He got Casanova's Rome,
yeah,
the big one at 70k members, and he left that because the drama surrounded around it. The second he owned that Rome, I spoke to the owner that took it over about it.
right,
I spoke to him, and he was calling Jamie a paedophile. He was saying like he was saying back in some old group he was in. He was
right,
touching some like 12-year-old intern or some shit like that. And I asked Jamie about it, and then Jamie was telling me about how he's a paedophile, and so the people have been spreading rumors about him. And it seems like a common baseless, you know,
yeah,
argument you can say to someone, and people are gonna like jump on it. Because when I made the argument about you and stuff like that, I didn't need any evidence whatsoever. I could just say it, and people would believe it because people are such fucking lemmings, man, and sheep. They just the second you have such a baseless argument like that, you don't need any premises really. It just works because
mhm.
people hate you.
That's the thing. And the issue with it is there are unironic pedos running around, and now that everyone is being called a pedo, it's like the actual pedos get away, and they're like, ha
They
ha
get away
ha,
with it.
yeah, yeah,
Well, like
you know,
fucking AJC. Think about how long they did before he was caught out. You
yeah,
know,
So
a very long time.
'cause as a conservative myself, I've always taken avid and dedicated, I guess you could say, crusades against pedophiles and stuff, IRL, and
It's
even in I,
also spread of misinformation as well.
yeah,
People think like if you're a group leader, people always assume your age is like 26. Apparently, according to someone, I'm 26 years old, and I have 2 kids, and I work for a drug cartel under El Paso. Like this is one of the rumors that went around. And I was just like, oh
that's
okay,
funny. I
yeah,
think one of
that
rumors for
actually
me.
happened as well. It's just stupid.
Wow. I think one of the rumors for me was I was like a 18-year-old that lived in my mom and dad's basement, or 19-year-old or 20-year-old that lived in my mom and dad's basement. I think of 19-year-old, and that I don't do anything with my life, and then I use Roblox to make money, and just there's a lot of other worse stuff. It happened a while ago when they made an accusation, but it was like they unironically believed all this BS about me, and it's like, oh no, there was also another one that went around that apparently there was a guy. So apparently there was this guy that wrote this huge document. It was about apparently how if he betrayed me, I would send his best friend to knock his shin in or something. It's like
Okay, yeah.
he can't I can't leave him. If I betray him, he's gonna send over my best friend. He's gonna knock me in, and he's gonna it's like, come on. What you can do better than that. You can, and there is this other one. It was like a girl, and it's like, if I didn't do all these things, I would hack her account, and they use Luna Richter. They're like, he deleted Luna Richter's account, and he will delete my account too. It's like, oh my god, the pure cancer.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing how far these people will go.
Yeah, but people
Uh,
take it seriously though. That's the thing.
yeah, that's the thing though as well, is people take it
Because
seriously.
the more ridiculous the lie, the more people believe it. You find,
Yeah,
you know, and even if it's like really blatantly obvious, they don't care.
yeah,
It plays into their own truths. That's why people believe it.
right,
If it plays into their bubble, I think if you got to think about this entire platform is based off of school kids, right? Based off
right,
of kids that are like really young, and when you're in school, your entire bubble of the world is your school. That's
yeah,
everyone is from school, right? So everything's so close knit and so tight. So you haven't experienced the actual world yet. You realise when you get out of school, your ego fucking get knocked down about 8 pegs. Because you realise there's more to the world than the people you know in school, and that's why it's common knowledge when you get out of school, you lose pretty much like 80% of your friends off by in the first 2 years, because you realise there's much more out there than fucking just you being toxic for no reason.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so there's also another rumor they have out there was like they killed a cat when I was 5 years old. It's like what? It's like
Uh,
they killed the neighbor's cat at 5 years old. He's a psychopath. And I actually recorded it. It was actually in GTR. I was on an alt account. I found a way to make it so that my voice was completely different and changed, and I went around and these guys, and back in GTR, it was like a huge anti-Richter stance. They even deleted Italy. They deleted my groups, and they hated me, right? So I was in there, and they
yeah,
were constantly. It was like 1984. It was like whoever made the best propaganda against me got commended. It's like they were always
yeah.
just the high ranks were just encouraging it, and I had it all on recording too. And I was in there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he killed the cat." And it's apparently to get into my diehard inner circle, you had to check off on a GC with us. It's like what, and
I think I actually had that one as well.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
that's just stupid. That's dumb.
And they
No,
they all encouraged it. And it's just this big
just
circle jerk, you know.
just to clarify, I'm not 26. I'm 17. So just to get that out there.
Yeah,
I'm
as
not
am I.
26.
Yeah,
I don't sound 26. I hope I don't at least.
killed the cat when I was 5. Wow.
That's dumb. I haven't heard that one, but I heard the other one.
hmm Yeah, so it's just funny. They come up with all these accusations and they're just believed. And even IRL, you know,
Oh yeah. Oh,
even
yeah.
IRL and politics, they do the same thing, but it's not as well. It depends. It can be toxic, but it's it's not like you know, you don't lose. Well, I don't know. I'm not really involved that much in politics. I'm just a little bit involved, but
No, no.
definitely, that's why I'm trying to bring about this new change. I've gotten tired of all the toxicity because when I came into TRI, I didn't think the community was this toxic, and that's why I myself was so aggressive. I thought I could be aggressive, and everyone else would play fairly. I realized when I played aggressively, everyone else just went full on toxic acid liquid cancer mode on
Well,
me.
it's back to the ego issue where
Yeah,
people's entire bubble is literally their school. Like their ego is so fucking large, and especially the ones that get bullied at school. They got to take it out on a fucking Roblox and a little Lego game.
yeah,
It's always the ones that get bullied. You find that there's like some little fat kid
that's
with
funny. Because for me, it's really the
fuck.
opposite. It's like if there's some big um I guess group chat or whatever, people will try to decrease my morale and like in real life at school. I'm not really popular, but I have a lot of friends, and it's like
Mm.
we don't talk about Roblox, but they're always like I don't know why they just kind of respect me a lot. I don't know if it's my knowledge or just my personality or character,
No,
but
no, no. I'm on about the ones that always create these rumors and shit.
well, yeah, I was saying yeah, what I was saying was the opposite for myself. For this
In
year, last year I was different, but this year it's just anyway. Yeah, so pretty much that's the state of the World War II genre, and hopefully that'll changes over time. I mean, it's 2020, everything is going to shit, all the
yeah, well,
countries and everything. So it's kind of hard to
there,
say, but
there is a silver lining, but you got a lot of time for self-reflectance, and you can really look at who you are and really
yeah,
think, is this who I want to be?
hmm
The hating for the sake of hating. Like, honestly, if I ask half the people that hate me, why do you hate me? I don't think they'd be able to answer it, like with a legitimate argument with actual basis.
yeah,
Other than just hating me just to fit their narrative.
hmm yeah. So pretty much, I mean, I definitely agree. There's not really much to like about this community besides the fact that leading a work group is fun. Joining a work group is fun, and then you have all
It
the
is.
toxic waste. So yeah. So what's your current standing in the World War II community then?
Well, I'm currently, and I plan to stay, ultimately, and completely loyal to Lavo and his group. I've had some good conversations with him. He's once you get to know him, and once you prove to him that you're not just gonna leave and go to like Lewis's group or another group within a couple of days. He rewards you back for that kind of stuff, and you get to know him. He's
Right.
an alright guy, and the community is generally full of like nice people. I get on with all the devs. I mean, I think the only instance where I didn't get on with them is when I was bug testing their money system, their economy system, and I ended up like managing to find out how I could glitch their economy system to get like 8 trillion fucking dollars
Huh.
in it, well, of their equivalent, and they got pissed off at me for that. But that's about it. But no, everyone's there is just really nice, and Lavo's just a good guy. Like he appreciates you for like your work, and you get commended for it. And he's
Interesting.
someone to follow, you know, someone I wouldn't mind following. And it
Okay.
is refreshing from being from my group, everyone just kissing my ass to, you know, having to actually put in some work, and that's what I quite like about it. It's refreshing.
I see. Yeah, Lavo actually invited me to join his group a bit ago. I told him I was doing
Mm.
Korea, and the thing is if he asked me before, like after I got exiled from Lewis, I would have considered it. But after Japan and after I started in Korea, it's like I'm spending 20K on development, and there's no point in abandoning all that to join his group. Besides, at the time his group was rather inactive, and
Yeah.
I just felt like I could do a lot more. As a matter of fact, my group already has almost 1,500 members, and
Well, man, like, I was the same in the Napoleon genre. I do not blame you. I did exactly the same thing. I was like, you know what, I can do this better, so I'm going to do it. But
mm,
I don't like making World War II groups because, as you said previously, too toxic. I don't want to be involved with that kind of negativity, you
yeah.
know.
Well, that's why I went Asian as well, because it's mostly just in the European part of the theater.
Mm,
It's
mm,
just a bunch
mm.
of Germanic realms trying to reenact the Holy Roman Empire. You know, it's like they're all going at each other. They're all trying to fight for the.
The European theatre is just too toxic,
Hmm.
you know.
You know, USM isn't that bad. I don't think they're that bad.
Well,
Canada can be
USM's
tough.
turned into a cash grab now, isn't it? So
They're a
it's
cash
not
grab,
the
but
old
they're
USM.
chill. Like I raid them and they
Yeah.
raid me, and they raided other groups and they're chill. They don't exploit. They're not gonna come after me or anything. They don't even like doing official wars. They said that like they just want to do they just want to reenact World War II or the Korean
He's a
War.
perfect example of a toxic group, Cronland, mate. They mass reported Lewis's group, and they you know, when that exploit went around that you could shut down
Yeah,
games.
yeah.
Just the second that came out, people from Cronland just came over to our group and started shutting all the games down. I was like, thank you, thank you. You know, it's why? It's fucking why? What's the point? You know,
you know,
what are you gonna achieve to shut down my game for like a couple of days? Not even that, a day.
yeah.
Stupid.
I remember Rosalio's group that when that came out, everyone said they're gonna shut down Rosalio's TSU, and I'm like, okay. They shut down any other active game, and then they tried shutting down the Port Simulator #1, and they managed to get it down to like 30 players for a couple of minutes, and then it went back up to like 200 in under 30 minutes. So
Mate, those groups are insane with those like 200 people playing. That's next level. That's like you need to start like adding like fidget spinners and infinity gauntlets to get that shit. You know,
yeah,
you need to kind of scoop down to a level where no one's going to take you seriously anymore.
hmm,
There's a certain degree, you know. Just don't do that. Like if you've been to any of those Russian games, man, some of the shit you can get there, stupid.
yeah, yeah. So that being said, you know, that's kind of the path I've taken though with my group is just leading. I've served Lewis, I've served many people. And whenever I serve someone event down the road, it just doesn't work out. Whether I get
Yeah,
exiled or
yeah.
whether I leave, it's never worked out for me.
But to add on to that, that was how I was, and like, I hadn't got nothing against Lewis or anything like that.
Mhm,
But he seriously needs to knuckle down and find one consistent group to stay with. And I've proven to myself that I can do that. I've owned my group for 3.5 years consistently. There's 30 people on right now, you know,
mhm.
and he can't. I don't know what it is. He can't do it. And his last group was up for 2 days. The group before that, JR, not even up for 2 weeks. It's like you need to kind of have a look at your circle, mate, and just kind of check yourself a bit, you
Yeah,
know.
that's what I
And I
thought.
can kind of say that from my perspective because I've run my group for 3.5 years and I've changed my staff. I've did purges and purges and purges, and I haven't had the problems you've had. It's like you, mate, whether you're getting deleted or not, you need to have one solid group and stay with it, and without getting bored because it's taking a piss, and that's why no one likes you. I mean,
Right.
I don't mind you, Lewis, but I can't stand having to like work my way up for another rank just because your other group got deleted.
Yeah.
You know.
He does make a lot of groups. I came with a theory on why he does that, and I think it's because when you play a game, like for instance, I play Hearts of Iron 4, I'll play it for about a
Mm-hmm.
month and I'll get bored of it. And with groups are like new games, it's like, oh my god, the
Mm,
new group is coming out, people play it. And with Lewis,
mm,
Lewis is one of those players that play a game for a month or 2 months, and then they get bored of it, and they come back to it maybe 3 months later. For me, it's not. I'll do the same thing with Heart Turn 4. I'll do that, except I'll come back, like, I'll get bored for a couple of weeks, and I'll come back to it maybe a month later. But I won't shut down, if I get bored of Korea, I won't shut it down. I'll just take a break from it. I'll stop going in game, and I'll stop attending the DMs. I'll have someone else to kind of run it more, and I'll just attend raids or whatever. And then when I'm ready, I'll come back to actively do stuff again. And that's how I kind of counter the whole boredom
Yeah,
thing.
the whole boredom thing. Yeah, that's exactly why I'm in Lavo's group. It's something to do, like week in week out. So I'll do a week of my group and a week of Lavo's group. So
Yeah,
just find something else to do other than like letting everyone down constantly. And it's
yeah,
not a personal attack at the guy. He's a nice guy. I can get on with him, but
yeah.
I wouldn't. How would you like it if the person you were following, the person you were putting your Robux and time into day in day out, you know, kept making like a new group every other month, and you're just having to work up constantly? It gets a bit silly, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. And another thing about it is aesthetic. Is Korea has a really good aesthetic, and I think that will keep up the hype and keep up the whole, I guess, immersion. Because I've been obsessed with the Korean since last year, and I think if this can last for another year, then I could, like you said, I could keep doing this for a long period of time until I guess everyone gets bored of it. But
Well, even then, if you get bored, you just release a new map.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
pretty much.
maybe change the uniforms. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And just change stuff around. Keep people keen.
Hmm.
Keep them keen, man.
Yeah.
And once you have self-sustaining stuff, you don't even need to come on anymore. It's just not that bad. You have lots of time to make changes and updates.
Yeah, pretty much. So speaking of Korea, though, what is your opinion on Korea? I've sent you some
I think it's
pictures.
good. I think it's good that you're heading it this time, and you're not under lava. Like, against lava or anything like that. But
Yeah.
I think it's your group. You can just choose what you're going to do with it. You're not restricted by anything, and it's probably a good move to go with Korea because you know it. You've had experience doing it before. So it's like but of course, if you're going to make a fucking Roman group, you join a Roman group, figure out like the way they do it, and make your own.
Yeah.
It's probably a smart move because you've done it before. You've got experience in the field. You know how it went down last time, so you know what to avoid. So
That's
it's
true.
yeah, and it looks like it's going well. There's like 80 people on right now,
Yeah,
probably
pretty
more.
much. Yeah.
So keep the hype going, keep them keen, man. Like I think it's a pretty cool group so far.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good.
Well, yeah, like you said, he kind of with groups and stuff, you have to know a lot about them before you do them. Because
Mm,
I remember I did a King of Scotland, I think, and I didn't know much
mm.
about it. The first one I did was a medieval Scotland, not the World War II one. The medieval one I did, and I didn't know much about it, and it was hard to maintain the sort of accuracy, and it was just confusing. It just wasn't really something I only did because
Yeah,
of my heritage. It's just a
it's it's
random.
it's 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 noticeable. It is noticeable.
Mm. And but with Korea version 1, it was more of Alex's thing, and Alex got me on board with it. And when I get on board, I'm like, oh my god, this is epic, And I started doing it, and then when Alex was gone, I came back to Korea, and when I started doing it, it was just you know, I had my own little way of doing it, and it wasn't really very accurate. I kind of changed
Yeah,
things, and
but
he
yeah,
had
but
Germanic-looking uniforms, and it
yeah,
just
you find a group leading. It's the same with uniform making. Like every uniform maker has their own style. They do
yeah,
everything differently. It's the same with the way I own groups. I own them a lot different to how other people do. My entire ranking system is completely different the way it's structured. I mean, I can go over that if you want.
right, um,
So, so instead of like how in German group you so this is just for the Wabazoo community because it's a bit different in the Wabazoo community. You attend trainings until you get to sergeant, and you end up fucking being an officer, and then you host all the trainings, and then you get promoted to about colonel, and then you end up overseeing all the trainings, and it's just that fucking boring cycle. And I think that's why they get bored. However, in the Napoleonic community, we centralize it more and keep it more under control. So in order to rank up, you have to join a regiment. You cannot rank up any other way. There's no main army. There's no normal basic trainings, and you only rank like promoted depending on whether you're commanding officer or an officer in a regiment. Dictates whether you're promoted or not. So NCOs have way more emphasis. Because they
yeah,
hold cadet academies to get to private. So it's really essential. So if I want to speak to all my staff at once and get a message out, I can literally host a Supreme Command meeting. All the colonels will be there. I tell the colonel something, and then they tell their officers, and pretty much the whole group knows in one meeting. So it's really nice.
Yeah.
Really nice little system.
How our army works is, like you said, it's a lot more different because a lot of groups they have like a private first class, private second class, superior, all these
Mm-hmm.
different ranks that are to me are weird. And with like groups, I'm very OCD. So if you look at
Mm.
my army, I have conscript and senior conscript, then private and senior private, so on and so forth, all the way up to ensign. Ensign doesn't have a senior ensign because that would look weird. And then
Yeah,
instead of
that
first,
would
second
look weird.
lieutenant, I have a lieutenant and senior lieutenant. And the whole reason for that is, first of all, OCD. Second of all, with a system like mine, I've realized that there's not really a class system in a place like North Korea for obvious reasons. So it'd be weird to have like a private first, second class when the class system is in itself disbanded. So we replace it with superior and just looks a lot better. So a lot of our
Mm.
ranks are renamed differently. There's more ranks, different styles, and how we organize it is really same way you said all the way up, and then well, not same way, but like
I get
well,
the gist. Yeah.
you know, there's different ways of being promoted. There's different ways of doing things. There's different immersive events that are hosted, so on and so forth. And so, um, you know, it's pretty fun. And I kind of have all responsibility goes to the branch leaders. That would be the chairman of the party, the supreme
Mm.
commander of the army, and the premier of the government. Would all kind of be the guys I go to for these kind of things. But yeah,
Yeah, we have
Korea
regimental
has
leaders, man. They're pretty
compared
much the
to the
equivalent.
yeah compared to the last Korea though, I would say this one is 10 times better because new aesthetic, historic. It's all historically accurate. 90% of it, 99% of it's original. Um, Original GFX. Over 20,000 spent in development. Another 50,000 more going into ads. 1,500 members in less than 4 days. Like, come on, this thing is going to be amazing. I can see it. I can foresee this thing going and being
Man, as
a
long
very
as you
good group.
believe it, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, maintain faith in the final victory. We must fight to the final victory. There is no defeat. Defeat equals treason. So with that mindset
Defeat.
in mind, I just you know so whenever I get a good group, I'm just happy. I'm satisfied. I get to sit in my little residence. I get order a pizza and just sit there, look out my little balcony, and just watch as my little super state just grows.
Little ants,
Unleashed. Yeah. And it took a lot of work. I had to spend hours a day working on stuff for my group.
Mm.
So,
People don't
uh,
realize how much you have to put in. You have to find developers, scripters, GFX makers, uniform makers, and
yeah.
this all needs to be on a schedule so people don't get bored with staff as well.
Hmm.
People to go on your games. It is a lot of work. It takes a lot of micromanagement at the time. And not many people are good at micromanagement, so that's why there's very few actual good group leaders.
Right. So, how fun was the production of the video, The Richter Imperium, with the Lavos group speech?
Oh, fucking hilarious. It was just the fact you were speaking about the invincibility of your group, how it can never be conquered, and it can never be conquered.
Yeah.
Exact words. And then like 10 seconds later, someone just fucking just kills everyone. And it's like, can we just ban this, please? Can we just ban this guy, please? I had to, the second I saw that, I was just like, all right, we're making a video. That's fucking hilarious. And then I based the video off of that alone, and it just became like a meme, the Larvae group. And the second I heard that, I knew, all right, let's base boost this. This gonna become a thing, and it did. And people don't even realize where it's from, but yeah, it's from my video. Fucking
That's funny.
amazing.
I actually have to mention, I was going to talk about this in the last topic, but Lavo actually DM'd me about joining his group, and he said that's VC, so he VC'd, and he said, there's this big meme about how Korea is a Rhine colony, it's Lavo's little puppet state, right? And so the first thing he says in the VC is, Korea, huh? Or something like that. It's like, Korea. And I'm just
Yeah.
sitting there cracking up because it's like, I know he's going to say he's going to want to colonize. He's like, join me again, Alec. Be my puppet state once again, Let's colonize Korea. And he's going to, firstly, the thing is, I created the group like an hour before he called me. The minute he sees Korea, just boom, let's puppet this thing. It was funny though. It's like Korea. Oh, he has a big
He's a
fantasy
good guy.
about.
Good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy. It's just it's
It's funny.
funny conversation. Anyway, so even I can admit the production of the video was hilarious. I watched it. I woke up in the morning. I saw I repaired the AA and like 9 minutes. Simple AA that we reversed, but well, I watched the video afterwards, and it's just I'm like, what is this? Okay, they have some.
Oh yeah, because
Well,
I remember I got ranked in your group, didn't I? Yeah.
yes, like a field marshal or something. And that was all Atticus. That was Atticus' idea. The rank he ranked you and like 5 other people, and like you and the 3 other guys like betrayed us within the next 3 days.
Yeah, I think I
Attic,
was in like the I was in like the USU or something. It was like some shit like that.
Atticus, what an idiot. He thought that I was like, oh, we have Lavo's Supreme Commander here. He's joined us. We're gonna win. I'm like, and you're sure he's not gonna AA us? He's like, oh yeah, of course not. That's
Yeah,
dishonorable. I'm like,
exactly.
welcome to the World War II genre, Mr. Roman. Mr. Roman Soldier 5.5. It's like, you know.
Was that his username?
No, his name was Atticus.
Was
Was Atticus 149 was his username.
149? Yeah.
Yeah, so it became Atticus Richter down the road, but you know, he thought he could build up this into this huge empire, but
Oh mate,
downhill.
I heard how downhill it got towards the end.
hmm So it
But
must have been fun.
well, you've learned off of it then.
Yeah, I
It's a
have.
learning curve.
Like that
It's
was the last group I did that. Well, Korea had a badass. The first Korea had an interesting aesthetic. I'm not gonna call it a badass. It had interesting aesthetic, but here was the last group I had that was kind of bad tired group. Because Oceania and the groups before Oceania were all like pretty bad in terms of competency and staff, and then
you served in Alaman, didn't you?
I served in the Alamantic realm, but I didn't serve in the 2014 Alamang. No,
He was Sergeant AB then,
that was me.
because there was a guy, or maybe it was a J instead of a
Yeah, it was
G.
Sergeant JB. I remember
Yeah,
back in the day, people in Russian military, there was a guy named Sergeant JB, and I would join the game because I was in German forces at the time. And they would ask me like, "Why did you betray us and join German forces?" And I'm like, "What? I was never in Russian military." And then the guys in German forces were asking me like, "Are you a spy for the Russians?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not a spy for the Russians." It's like
no,
all
I
because
just
of
need
this.
some guy in similar names to the original username,
Yeah,
and
Sergeant
I just
JB. Never
assumed it
met
was
the
you.
guy, but I've heard about him.
I don't know what happened to him. No clue. No, last time I spoke to him was 2016 or whatever year it was.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. But I remember seeing his name in Russian military and people talking about him, and then so that's interesting. Well, Sergeant AB was my first username I ever made back in 2010, not on Roblox, but in general. It generally was my first gamer username, and so I used it the longest time, and then it wasn't until I formed the Richter family that I changed most of my gamer tags to like Kaiser AB or something similar, and
No,
now my gamer tag is like Alexander. It's not Alexander IRL, but it just sounds cool. I just like the name Alexander. It's original. It's a cool concept and creative, I suppose. So
well, it's your own thing, isn't it?
what?
Well, it's your own thing. Like no one
Yeah,
else
yeah,
has done
yeah.
it,
It's my
so
own
it's quite
thing.
nice.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, I've created some interesting videos that are pretty much good comedies, but I've never really been able to. Well, I actually made one recently. It was based on Japan. I don't know if you heard about what happened in Japan, but
Oh, go on.
so basically, I did the Japan. It was an oligarchy like Alex, and it was a good friend of mine. His name was Beans. I'm sure you remember him. His name was Ma Beans or Big French O2 or the Nogman or Taishiro Shunruku.
Oh, right.
So this guy, basically, we did Japan together. We both lead it. And the reason for this was because I was trying to improve my reputation. And he said that for now, I would be ranked like a daimyo, which is like a warlord, until I fix reputation, and then I can lead it with him, right? And I said, sure,
Mm,
sounds good. We were still in the group. I had GeoAx and everything, right? And so
yeah.
down the road, he demoted me to Zaibatsu because I told him I wanted to lead a domain, because domain is for high rank. So he demoted me to Zaibatsu. I was like, no, never mind. I'll do something like a lead the military player or lead the police. And so I was made a chief commissioner under his rank, and everyone looked at it as us leading the group. We were running the group together. So, well, anyway, I got bored running the police, so I said, you know what? I'm gonna make my own party because I realized that I wasn't really up there with him. And I told him about this, and he did kind of ghosted me. He kind of like ignored it when I told him that I wasn't the same rank as him. It looked more like he was running the group and not me. So I did the whole party thing. I created WARAC, which stood for the Workers' Revolutionary Party or something like that, or the Workers Reactionary Party of Japan, I think it was called. And so it was a populist party, a radical populist party that tried to fix the economy and social issues. For instance, jaywalking was illegal in Japan. We tried to fix that. Minimum wage was at 5. To buy a factory, it costed like 1,000 yen, or whatever the yen, not wen, yen, so on and so forth. So we tried to fix all these issues, and my party gained a lot of popularity. Eventually, the economy crashed because one of the developers deleted the economy script, which caused the entire economy to reset, causing a crash, and it caused a major influx of members. So anyway, eventually, we we were the majority party, and so
Mm.
we wanted to become the premier. We didn't know how, and we realized the only way we become premier was if the entire inner house basically called for an election. The issue with that, though, is the inner house were all people loyal to Beans, and Beans could elect the guys into the inner house. So it was impossible to become elected unless all of them were a part of my party or loyal to me. So I said, this is BS. Let's just do an in-game coup, right? It's an in-game little friendly coup. So we rallied our party. We allied with the Social Credit Party, which was the second most largest party. And we marched on the government building. We stood there and boycotted whatever else. And eventually, the emperor joined during our little coup, and he said that we could work something out where we were both the same rank. And then the premier joins, and he says, "You know what? I concede." And then he says 3 minutes later, "You know what? I'm not going to concede. I'm going to run the group now. You can say as I bought to, and your geo access was now revoked." He said I betrayed him, and so yeah, he pulled a Parsifal, got rid of everything. And so we did our own
Yeah.
thing. I said, "You know what? Screw you. We'll do our own thing." And so we did Korea. And so
This is how you read. This is how you.
yeah, so I made a video called The Rise of Evil, Taishiro. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
Hitler, the Rise of Evil.
Yeah, yeah, it was loosely based off of that, except it was,
Okay.
so I made a meme video, and it was based off of the events of what happened. So basically it was, well, we didn't use the actual Resident Evil movie. It was based off of that, but we used Star Wars Episode 3 of Palpatine, you know, and we
Right.
had,
Yeah.
so I was Palpatine, and I can show you right now. I can even put it on the podcast if you'd like.
Go for it, mate.
All right, 1 second. All right, so we're back. Took a little break and showed him some videos and screenshots. So anyway, the point of this discussion is the fact that I suppose the both have good comedy. I like his comedy, and I guess I became inspired by it. I started doing my own editing, and well, I had someone do editing for me, but I've just
No.
so hopefully I do more videos like that. Maybe another little war with like Japan, and we'll do a video like based on a movie or something like that. Or maybe I could have you edit a video. I'll pay you or something. You can edit a video, and I can,
Yeah. Yeah.
something like
My
that.
videos are quite iconic in the community.
Yeah. So, speaking of videos, hopefully I get my subscribers back, because my last YouTube channel got deleted and it had 1,000. So if I can
How
get
did that
back up
happen?
to,
I'm not aware of the details.
so well, lucky for you, it happened on the same day you dropped those accusations, so I couldn't upload the video or anything to counter them. But anyway, so
Perfect timing.
yeah, perfect timing for you, and I was in Indiana. So anyway, yeah, so the YouTube got deleted because I had a brand account. So I had a school email, that school email had a brand account, and that brand account had a YouTube account. So you're not allowed to have, apparently because of a new K-12 policy, you can't have brand accounts off of your school email. And this was an accident because I made the account back in 2014, and I don't know how it happened. I might have just didn't have a main email account and used my school email, but the direct email wasn't my school email, and
Right.
that's how I didn't know I was using my school email the entire time. So basically anyone that owned a brand account, it got deleted, including the YouTube account that brand account had. So that's how it got deleted. I spoke to my school, I spoke to Google, I spoke to everyone I could, and no one could do anything about it unless I was 18 years old or older. They could get it unbanned, but I don't know if I can still do that after I turn 18, or if I'm not in school anymore, how to exactly do that.
Yeah, it's a bit too late, so can't really do anything about that.
So Well, anyway, that's really it. It's been about 40 minutes long, so a decent podcast. Unless you have anything else you want to say or any questions
Nah,
or anything.
just thanks for having me, mate. It's very appreciative.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming on here, I suppose. I've used to these podcasts a long time ago, back in last year, 2018.
Mm.
December 2018, I used to do these, and they were kind of fun. Because back in 2018, I kind of had the reputation to do this kind of stuff, and it was fun talking to a lot of World War II leaders and being kind of the middleman of everything and maintaining that honor.
You were middleman of a few debates as well.
Yes, I was. And then in 2019, I said, you know what? I'm bored of being the middleman. Let's get in this action. Let's just dive right in, And
That's
it's
why
like
that's why you went downhill.
dive right in the acid. I was diving into a pool, some nice cool water, and it would turn out there was some acid. Dived right into the acid and just got stung by it, but luckily I didn't dive too deep and was able to swim out. And here I am with
So,
this. So now we're back and trying to get that reputation. So well, hopefully that reputation goes successfully. But anyway, well, thanks for coming on the podcast, and YouTube, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.